What if the words you say to yourself each morning are the reason your life feels stuck, or the reason it finally starts to move forward? Before you check your phone, before you scroll through other people's lives, before the world has a chance to tell you who you are or what you lack, there's a moment, a small, quiet, powerful moment, where you get to decide how the rest of your day unfolds. Most people skip that moment. They wake up already behind. They start the day reacting, rushing, running from one obligation to the next. And in doing so, they give away the most valuable thing they have, their mindset, not by choice, but by habit. They let the day take control before they ever had a chance to take ownership. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can change the entire direction of your day in less than 2 minutes. You can shift your mood, your energy, your focus, simply by choosing the right words. Not empty cliches, not fake positivity, but real, grounded, powerful truths that remind you of who you are and what you're capable of. This isn't about pretending life is perfect. It's about preparing your mind for life, so you can meet it with strength instead of stress. The way you speak to yourself in the first few minutes of the morning has more power than you think. In that fragile space between sleep and full awareness, your mind is open. It's listening, it's absorbing, and most of us fill it with stress, comparison, and distraction. We check messages, we replay yesterday's mistakes, we think about everything that could go wrong. But what if you changed that? What if you filled your mind with 4 simple statements that built you instead of broke you? Words that grounded you instead of shook you? Truths that reminded you that you are more in control than you feel? Because you are. And the people who truly transform their lives aren't always the strongest. They're the ones who build strength every single day from the inside out. They start their mornings with intention, not reaction. They speak power into their own lives before they let the world speak over them. And they do it consistently, until those words become beliefs, and those beliefs become actions. This video is about those words, 4 powerful things to tell yourself every single morning. Not once, not when you feel like it, every morning. Because repetition rewires the mind. And with just a few simple truths, you can train your brain to fight back against fear, insecurity, and self-doubt. You can become the kind of person who doesn't just survive the day, but owns it. So if you've ever felt like life is running you over, if you've ever felt unseen, unmotivated, or exhausted from trying to prove yourself, stay with me. Because what you say to yourself first thing in the morning could be the very thing that changes everything. And it starts right now. You've been taught to start your day by doing. Get up, get ready, get moving. But no one ever taught you how to be before you do. How to center yourself. How to choose your mindset, your energy, your voice. That voice, the one inside your head, is either your greatest ally or your constant enemy. And too often it's been trained to criticize, to doubt, to expect the worst. Not because you're broken, but because somewhere along the way, you learn to protect yourself by preparing for disappointment. You learn to be cautious instead of confident, quiet instead of clear. But there's a cost to that kind of thinking, especially in the morning. It sets the tone for everything. How you handle stress, how you speak to people, how you show up in the world. And without even realizing it, you begin every day defending yourself against a life you could actually create, if you just believed it was yours to build. The first few minutes after waking up are not just another part of your routine. They are sacred. They are when your mind is most open, most moldable. Your brain is not fully awake yet. It's in a soft, suggestible state, which means it listens, not just to the noise outside, but to the words you speak inside. And that's your opening. That's where real change begins. Not in grand declarations, not in overwhelming goals, but in a few deliberate words that remind you of who you want to be, what you want to feel, how you want to lead your day, instead of being led by it. Because every day life is going to demand something from you. It's going to pull at your time, your focus, your peace. If you don't enter it with intention, it will shape you by accident. You'll spend hours reacting to things that don't matter, and at night you'll wonder why you feel so disconnected. The truth is, you don't need to change everything at once. You just need to start before the noise starts. You need to reclaim the first few minutes, before emails, before traffic, before other people's opinions. You need to meet yourself first, and you need to do it with strength. Not every morning will feel good. Not every day will go as planned. But when you speak power into your own mind before anything else does, you anchor yourself. You create stability in a world that is unpredictable. You stop waiting for peace and start generating it. This is not about ignoring reality. It's about shaping it. You're not pretending things are easy. You're preparing yourself to meet the hard things with clarity, courage, and composure. That's what this practice is about. Owning the only thing you can truly control, your state of mind. And it starts when you stop letting the outside world be the first voice you hear. Start with yourself. Speak life, not fear. This is where your new day begins. Most people walk into the day already at war with themselves. Quietly, silently, carrying a voice inside that says, "You're not good enough. You're behind. You should be doing more." And that voice doesn't come from truth. It comes from habit. From years of comparison. From chasing perfection. From trying to meet standards no one can ever truly reach. And over time, it becomes normal. To wake up and immediately feel like you're failing. To feel pressure before your feet even touch the floor. But what's normal isn't always right, and what's familiar isn't always healthy. You weren't born doubting yourself. That was learned, which means it can be unlearned. There is a silent epidemic that no one talks about, self-neglect. Not the kind that shows up on the outside, but the kind that happens inside. The way people abandon their own needs. The way they put everyone else first until there's nothing left. The way they smile for the world and stay silent with their pain. The way they live life checking every box but never feeling whole. And it doesn't matter how strong they look. It doesn't matter how much they achieve. If the voice inside still whispers, "You're not enough," then nothing outside will ever fill that void. But here's the truth. That voice can be challenged. It can be interrupted. It can be replaced. And that process starts every morning. When you look inward instead of outward. When you stop asking, "What do I have to do today?" and start asking, "Who do I want to be today?" That shift changes everything. Because identity drives behavior. When you believe you're not enough, you act like it. You shrink. You doubt. You overthink. But when you believe you are enough, you move differently. You speak differently. You choose differently. You stop performing and start living. Not to prove, but to express. Not to meet expectations, but to honor who you already are. You don't need to be fixed. You need to be reminded. Reminded that your worth is not based on how busy you are, how productive you are, or how perfect you appear. It's deeper than that. It's who you are when everything else is stripped away. And that version of you deserves your own attention, deserves your own care, deserves to be spoken to with kindness, power, and truth. So the next time that inner voice rises up with criticism or fear, meet it with something stronger. Don't wait for someone else to affirm you. Don't wait for life to give you permission. Start giving it to yourself, right now, every morning. Not because it's easy, but because you're worth the effort. The world needs the version of you that's not hiding, not shrinking, not doubting, but rising. And the only way to become that version is to talk to yourself like you believe in that person. Because when your own voice becomes your strength, nothing can silence you again. Repetition builds identity. The words you speak to yourself again and again become the story your mind believes. Not overnight, but steadily, silently, layer by layer. Every morning, you are either reinforcing fear or reinforcing strength. There is no neutral thought. Your brain listens. Your body responds. Your habits follow. And without realizing it, you become a reflection of what you say when no one else is around. That's why this matters. That's why 2 minutes of intentional, truthful self-talk is not just a feel-good exercise. It's reprogramming. It's building a new foundation, one sentence at a time. You've repeated self-doubt for years. You've carried inner narratives shaped by the opinions of others, by past mistakes, by moments you never fully healed from. But you don't have to keep living under those stories. You are allowed to overwrite them. You are allowed to speak new words into old wounds. You are allowed to wake up and choose different thoughts, even if your circumstances haven't changed yet, especially then. Because it's not your circumstances that define your future. It's your beliefs, and beliefs are built through repetition. Every time you say, "I can't," that belief strengthens. Every time you say, "This is just who I am," that identity solidifies. But the same is true for strength. The same is true for courage, for discipline, for resilience. When you say, "I am capable," even when you feel afraid, you're planting a new seed. And the more you water that seed, the more it grows into a new way of thinking, a new way of being. This is how you shift out of survival mode and into creation. By speaking as if the version of you want to become is already within you, because it is. Your mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's repeated. It simply absorbs. It follows the path you pave. That's why you must be deliberate. That's why you must guard your mornings like they are sacred. Because they are. You are stepping into the world, and you get to decide how. You get to decide whether you're carrying the weight of old doubts or the fire of new belief. And that choice begins the moment you open your eyes. It's not about pretending everything is perfect. It's about preparing for the imperfect with power. It's about building a mind that doesn't crumble when life hits, because it's been strengthened every day, from the inside out. That kind of strength doesn't come from waiting. It comes from doing the work no one sees, speaking words no one hears, but that shape everything. And when you do it consistently, your outer world starts to shift. Not because magic happened, but because you did. You became the kind of person who no longer lets their thoughts run wild. You lead them, and in leading them, you begin to lead your life, quietly, powerfully, intentionally, one morning at a time. There's one truth you need to speak into your life before anything else can truly shift. Say it clearly. Say it without hesitation. Say it like your life depends on it, because it does. I am enough. Those 3 words carry the weight of everything you've been running from. The guilt, the shame, the pressure to prove, the fear of not measuring up. This isn't about arrogance. It's not about settling. It's about breaking free from the belief that who you are is never quite sufficient, that no matter how much you do, how hard you try, it's still not worthy. That lie has kept you small. It has kept you silent. It has convinced you to chase validation instead of embody truth. Saying I'm enough is not weakness, it's rebellion. It's refusing to let your worth be held hostage by comparison, by achievement, by anyone else's opinion. It's drawing a line in the sand and deciding that you no longer need to hustle for value. You already have it. You already are it. And the moment you begin to speak those words every morning, I am enough, you begin to dismantle the illusion that you need fixing. You don't. You need reminding. This truth becomes your anchor. When everything around you is chaotic, when doubt creeps in, when you're tempted to tie your identity to outcomes and opinions. This truth holds you steady, because from that place, where you already are enough, you operate from wholeness, not desperation. You set boundaries that protect your peace. You pursue goals that align with your values. You stop proving and start becoming. You stop hiding and start showing up. And yes, the world will still try to convince you otherwise. It will try to sell you more things to cover up that feeling of not being enough. More followers, more accomplishments, more perfection. But the moment you chase those things to complete you, you lose your power. You forget that enough was never out there. It was always in you. Speaking it every morning is how you take that power back. Not once, not when you feel good, every single day. Until the words stop feeling foreign, until they feel like home. You are not your failures. You are not your flaws. You are not the things you didn't do or the things you haven't become yet. You are the one who wakes up, looks in the mirror, and decides to speak life instead of judgment. That's what strength looks like. That's what healing sounds like. A voice, steady and clear, saying what was never said enough when you needed it most. You are already enough. You have always been enough. You will always be enough. Say it, believe it, and then build your day from that foundation. Because a person who knows they are enough doesn't need permission to rise. They rise because they already know they belong at the top. The world will always try to convince you that you need to be more, do more, achieve more, fix what's broken, improve what's lacking. And if you listen too long, you'll start to believe that who you are right now isn't worthy of love, of peace, of success. That belief is a trap. It keeps you striving endlessly, chasing a version of yourself that never arrives. You keep moving the finish line. You keep postponing your peace. But the truth is this: perfection is not the goal, presence is. Wholeness is. And that begins when you stop waiting to be enough and start living like you already are. Perfection is a myth dressed as motivation. It whispers that your best isn't good enough, that someone else is doing it better, that if you could just be more like them, maybe then you'd feel complete. But you are not here to be perfect. You are here to be real, to be human, to be whole. And wholeness doesn't come from fixing every flaw. It comes from accepting yourself fully. The messy parts, the tired parts, the parts that still feel unsure. That kind of acceptance doesn't make you soft, it makes you unshakable. Because when you no longer base your worth on what goes right or wrong, you become free. Free to try, free to fail, free to grow without fear that every misstep is proof you're not enough. There is strength in saying, I am enough, even when you don't feel it, especially then, because you're not waiting for evidence. You're creating it. You're not waiting for life to validate your worth. You're declaring it. That shift changes how you carry yourself. You stop shrinking in rooms that were built for you. You stop over-apologizing for your presence. You stop needing the world to give you permission to rest, to speak, to be. And the more you repeat that truth, the more it becomes the lens through which you see everything else. You stop settling. You stop performing. You start aligning. You start choosing relationships, goals, and paths that reflect your truth, not your fears. You stop chasing validation and start standing in your own knowing. That's what self-worth sounds like. It's quiet, it's steady, and it doesn't disappear when things fall apart. It holds you up when everything else feels uncertain. So if you've been waiting for the right time to believe in yourself, it's now. Not when you hit your goal. Not when you've perfected your routine. Now. Speak it into your morning before the doubts arrive. Speak it until your nervous system begins to relax into it. Speak it until your thoughts, your choices, your habits start to rise in alignment with that truth. You are enough. Not just when you're winning. Not just when you're chosen. Not just when you're confident. Always. Your life begins to transform the moment you believe you don't have to become someone else to deserve everything you're here for. When you wake up and remind yourself that you are enough, something powerful begins to shift. But there's another truth you must speak, one that fuels movement, action, progress. Say it with certainty. I am capable. These words are not just encouragement. They are a declaration of ability. A reminder that no matter what stands in front of you, you hold the strength to rise. Not someday. Not when you're more prepared. Now, because capability isn't about having all the answers. It's about knowing that whatever comes, you can figure it out, you can adapt, you can endure, you can overcome. Most of the barriers that hold people back are not external. They are internal beliefs that whisper, you can't handle this. And when you hear that voice enough times, it starts to feel like truth. But it's not truth. It's memory. It's fear. It's the echo of past moments where you didn't have the tools or the clarity you have now. But you are not who you were. You've grown. You've learned. You've survived things you once thought would break you. And here you are, still standing, still breathing, still searching for more. That is not weakness. That is strength. And it's time you started recognizing it. You don't need to feel confident to be capable. You just need to believe that you can begin. Confidence is built through action, not before it. And every time you take one small step, even when you're unsure, you prove that voice of doubt wrong. You rewire your brain to associate discomfort with growth, not danger. You teach yourself that fear is not a stop sign, it's a signal. A sign that you're on the edge of something new. And new does not mean impossible, it means unpracticed. But anything unpracticed can be learned. Anything repeated becomes familiar. Anything familiar becomes normal. That is how growth works. Capability is not about perfection. It's not about always getting it right. It's about showing up fully and refusing to quit when things get hard. It's about trusting yourself even when the path isn't clear. It's about understanding that failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. Every challenge you face is not proof of your limits, but an invitation to stretch them. And when you start your morning with the truth that you are capable, you anchor yourself in resilience. You walk into the day ready, not because it will be easy, but because you are ready to do what it takes. So speak it. I am capable. Say it before you open your inbox. Say it before the stress hits. Say it before you doubt yourself again. And let that truth move through your actions. Let it shape how you carry yourself, how you respond to pressure, how you rise after setbacks. You are capable, and that doesn't need to be proven to anyone. It only needs to be remembered by you. It's easy to forget your strength when you've been carrying so much for so long. When life has tested you again and again, when setbacks have piled on top of each other, it's natural to start believing the lie that you're barely holding it together. But just because something feels heavy doesn't mean you're not strong enough to carry it. Just because the path is hard doesn't mean you're not equipped to walk it. Strength isn't always loud. It doesn't always look like confidence or boldness. Sometimes it looks like quiet persistence. Sometimes it's simply refusing to give up, and that is power, unshakable, steady, grounded power. But over time you forget, not because you're weak, but because no one ever taught you to remind yourself. No one told you that you have to train your mind to remember who you are, especially when life gets loud. You can't wait for strength to find you. You have to wake up and speak it into existence. You have to say, I am capable. Not once, not when everything is easy, but especially when everything is not. You say it until your nervous system calms. You say it until your thoughts begin to shift. You say it until your mind no longer questions it. That's how belief is built, word by word, day by day. It's not about feeling unstoppable. It's about showing up even when you don't. It's about looking at the chaos around you and choosing to rise anyway, choosing to respond with focus, choosing to act with intention, choosing to keep going, not because it's easy, but because you know you were made for this. That's what being capable truly means. It's not about having it all figured out. It's about trusting yourself enough to begin, even if you're unsure, even if you're afraid. That trust is not built in big moments. It's built in the small ones, the ones no one sees, the early mornings, the quiet nights, the times you keep pushing forward when giving up would have been easier. Every time you show up for yourself, even in a small way, you add another layer to your strength, and that strength becomes your foundation. It's not based on perfection, it's based on proof. Proof that you've survived everything you thought you couldn't. Proof that you've grown through every trial you thought would break you. Proof that capability isn't something you're given, it's something you build. So when the world feels overwhelming, when doubt creeps in, when the pressure rises, don't wait for permission to believe in yourself. Give it to yourself. Speak it, breathe it, own it. I am capable. And then act like it, walk like it, decide like it. Because once your mind believes that truth, your entire life begins to rise to meet it. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to remember that you have everything it takes already inside you. Even with strength in your bones and capability in your heart, the world can still pull you in every direction. One distraction, one setback, one unexpected moment, and suddenly you're no longer leading your day. You're chasing it, reacting instead of choosing, responding instead of directing. That's when things slip. That's when energy drains. That's when the vision you had for yourself gets buried beneath a list of demands that were never yours to carry. But it doesn't have to be that way. You don't need to control everything to reclaim your life. You just need to control what matters most: your focus, your response, your direction. Speak it into your morning with clarity. I am in control of my day. That statement is not about rigid schedules or forced discipline. It's about ownership. It's about remembering that your life does not belong to your inbox, your notifications, your past, or anyone else's expectations. It belongs to you. And every morning, you are given a choice: to lead or to follow, to create or to react, to rise with purpose or to let the noise decide who you'll be. When you choose intention over impulse, you stop being a prisoner of your own time. You stop waiting for peace and start creating it. You are not at the mercy of chaos. You are not powerless to the pressures around you. You get to decide how you show up. You get to decide what deserves your energy and what doesn't. You get to choose your response, even when circumstances aren't perfect. That is control, not over everything, but over the one thing that determines everything: your state of mind. When you remember that, you become grounded, clear, calm in the middle of the storm. Not because life is easy, but because you are no longer giving your power away to things outside your reach. This isn't about pretending challenges don't exist. It's about reminding yourself that they don't get to decide your worth, your identity, or your direction. You are not your to-do list. You are not the traffic. You are not the emails, the interruptions, or the unexpected curveballs. You are the one who chooses how to respond to it all. And that choice, made over and over again, is what shapes your reality. You don't need a perfect morning to have a powerful one. You just need a clear voice that says, I am in control of my day. Say it before the distractions begin. Say it before the pressure builds. Say it before anyone else's opinion has a chance to enter your space. And watch what happens when you lead your life from that place of calm control. Decisions become easier. Boundaries become clearer. The noise gets quieter. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You return to the truth that was always waiting inside you. You don't need to do it all. You just need to remember that how you start your day is how you start your life. And that choice belongs to you. When you take control of your day, you reclaim your ability to shape how you move through the world. But control alone is not enough. You also need fuel. You need something deeper than willpower, something stronger than routine. You need a reason to keep going when things feel uncertain, when progress feels slow, when nothing around you is giving you a clear sign to keep believing. That's when you turn inward and speak the words that lift your eyes above the noise, above the doubt, above the weariness. Something good is coming today. Say it before you see it. Say it even if you don't believe it yet. Say it because what you expect, you begin to notice. And what you notice begins to shape your reality. Your mind is always scanning, looking for confirmation of what you believe to be true. If you wake up expecting stress, problems, and pressure, your mind will find it. Not because life is only full of those things, but because that's what you've trained yourself to see. But if you wake up and tell your mind something good is coming, you give it a new assignment. You teach it to look for opportunity, for connection, for growth, for peace. Not because you're ignoring challenges, but because you're refusing to let them define your entire experience. This is not false hope. It's focused awareness. It's choosing to believe that every day holds potential, even if it's buried beneath the mess. It's choosing to expect the best without denying reality. You're not waiting for life to be perfect. You're training yourself to see progress where others only see problems, and that shift changes everything. You become someone who walks through the day with open eyes and an open heart. You listen more. You respond with patience. You notice moments that others miss, moments that feel small but carry the power to change your direction. Hope is not weakness. It is not naive. It is the discipline of vision. It is the mental decision to believe that life can move forward, even when you're standing in the middle of the unknown. And when you speak it, when you say something good is coming today, you activate that vision. You prepare your heart to receive. You position yourself to notice what would otherwise go unseen. One conversation, one opportunity, one breakthrough, one moment of peace that shifts your entire energy. But you only catch it if you're looking for it. Speak it with intention. Speak it with boldness. Speak it before your feet hit the floor, and then carry it with you like a compass, letting it guide how you move, how you respond, how you choose. Let it lift your eyes when the weight of the world tries to pull you down. Something good is coming today. Let that be the atmosphere you create inside yourself, because what lives inside you begins to shape what unfolds around you. And every great change starts with what you're willing to believe. Belief is a filter. It colors how you see everything. When you begin your morning with the expectation that something good is coming, you aren't escaping reality, you're shaping it. Your brain starts to scan the world for evidence of that belief. You notice the smile from a stranger, the calm moment in the middle of chaos, the small win that reminds you you're moving forward. You don't wait for something big to validate your hope. You let the small things feed it, and over time, this changes you. It reconditions your nervous system. It rewires your thought patterns. It shifts your emotional baseline from tension to trust. That's the power of practiced optimism, not fake positivity, but disciplined hope. A quiet decision to keep your mind open to goodness, no matter what yesterday looked like. Because life responds to your mindset. The energy you bring into each moment shapes how that moment unfolds. When you anticipate good things, you show up differently. Your shoulders relax, your breathing slows, your presence becomes softer, yet more powerful. You become more patient with people, more resilient in difficulty, more willing to take action without needing every answer. It's not about expecting a miracle. It's about believing that even if the miracle isn't obvious, growth is still happening. Healing is still happening. Alignment is still unfolding. And that mindset doesn't just change your perception, it changes your direction. Doubt will always try to make itself louder. Fear will always offer a case for why you should expect disappointment. But you have a choice. You can feed fear, or you can feed faith. You can wait to be proven wrong by life, or you can stand rooted in the belief that something good is already on its way. That choice is what separates those who drift from those who rise. Because when you believe that good is coming, you begin to show up in alignment with that belief. You speak differently. You carry yourself with calm authority. You keep moving forward, even when progress is invisible. And that consistency draws in the very opportunities that others miss. This is why you must start your morning with that declaration, not as a wish, but as a decision. You say it before the doubts speak. You say it until it settles in your chest. You say it until it becomes more than a phrase. It becomes your posture. Not everything will go right. Not every moment will feel good. But when you start the day expecting light, you become the one who brings it into your work, into your relationships, into your own mind. And that light is what keeps you going when nothing else makes sense. Something good is coming today. Say it with your whole being. Say it with the part of you that still believes in better. And then walk like it's already unfolding. Because your belief doesn't just change your day, it changes your life. And it all begins with what you choose to look for. You become what you repeatedly tell yourself. That inner voice, the one that echoes through your mind before the world even speaks, has more influence over your life than any outside force. So when you wake up and say, I am in control of how I respond today, you're not just reciting words. You are programming your nervous system. You are reclaiming power from anything that might try to steal your peace. Because while you can't always control what happens, you are always in command of how you react. That is where your strength lives, in your ability to pause, to breathe, to shift your perspective before emotion takes over. That is where your freedom begins. There will always be things you can't predict. People will frustrate you. Plans will fall apart. Unexpected challenges will show up without warning. But your emotional state does not have to be held hostage by what happens around you. The chaos outside of you doesn't have to create chaos within you. When you wake up and declare that you are in control of how you respond, you begin to build the most powerful skill a person can develop. Emotional stability. Not apathy. Not numbness. But steady strength. The kind that responds instead of reacts. The kind that grounds you when the world wants to pull you in every direction. Every time you choose calm over chaos, patience over panic, clarity over confusion, you are not just surviving. You are growing. You are reconditioning your mind to stop giving power to the external and start anchoring in the internal. And that kind of control is magnetic. It draws better people. It opens better doors. It creates space for better outcomes. Because you are no longer spiraling. You are choosing. You are leading yourself. Self-control is not about suppression. It's about alignment. Aligning your response with your values. Aligning your actions with who you truly want to be. It's about asking yourself, will this reaction take me closer to peace or pull me further from it? Will this emotional spiral serve my goals or sabotage them? Every morning is a new opportunity to train that awareness, not through force, but through intention, not by trying to control everything, but by controlling your focus, your breath, your energy. You can rise above irritation. You can walk away from drama. You can choose silence over shouting, reflection over regret. And when you begin your day reminding yourself of that truth, you make space for transformation. Your relationships shift. Your work becomes more purposeful. Your days feel less like battles and more like opportunities to practice power. Not the power that dominates, but the power that liberates you from being a slave to every trigger, every mood, every setback. Tell yourself what you need to remember. I am in control of how I respond today. And then prove it, moment by moment, choice by choice. That's how strength becomes a lifestyle. That's how peace becomes your default. That's how you reclaim your life. You are not your past. You are not the pain you felt or the mistakes you've made. You are not the failure someone else projected onto you. You are not defined by who you were when you didn't know better. And you're not trapped by what went wrong. You are more than the regrets that try to haunt you. You are more than the identity you wore to survive. Every morning, when you open your eyes, life gives you a quiet invitation to begin again. To release the story that keeps replaying in your mind. To stop dragging yesterday's weight into today's opportunity. You are not meant to live in replay. You are meant to rise in renewal. The world may try to remind you of who you were, but it is your job to remember who you are becoming. Growth is not about pretending the past didn't happen. It's about refusing to let it shape the future you still have the power to create. When you say to yourself, I am not my past, you break the agreement with shame. You break the cycle of reliving old wounds. You give yourself the freedom to become someone new without guilt for having once been someone else. That freedom is essential, because transformation requires self-compassion. It requires the grace to fall and rise again without labeling yourself as broken. There is no growth without struggle, no strength without pain. But the point of hardship was never to define you. It was to prepare you. It was to teach you what mattered, to reveal what you could survive, to carve out the depth you needed to handle what's coming. You are not weak because of what happened. You are wiser because of what you lived through. Every scar is proof you didn't give up. Every wrong turn taught you how to find the right path. And now, your only responsibility is to stop looking back for permission to move forward. The voice in your mind may still whisper doubt. It may try to convince you that change is impossible, that you'll never outrun what's already been written. But that voice is not truth. It's habit. And like any habit, it can be broken. You replace it with a new voice, one that speaks with strength, with kindness, with direction. One that says, my past may have shaped me, but it does not control me. I am choosing who I become. There is power in this choice. There is renewal in this mindset. When you start your morning with this truth, you begin to dissolve the grip of everything that ever held you down. You step into your day lighter, clearer, more present. Not because the past disappears, but because you stop letting it dictate your worth. Today is not a continuation of your pain story. It's a blank page, and the person holding the pen is you. Choose to write something new. Choose to become someone stronger. Your future depends on it. What you tell yourself becomes the world you live in. It becomes the lens through which you see your choices, your chances, your future. And when you wake up each day and remind yourself, I am capable of handling anything today gives me, you activate something powerful inside you. You unlock calm in chaos. You build steadiness in uncertainty. You stop bracing for life and start meeting it with intention. It's not about pretending everything is easy. It's about knowing that you are stronger than what's hard, that your mind is not a victim of circumstances, but a tool that can be trained to rise. Life doesn't wait until you feel ready. It throws things at you without warning, without explanation, without asking for your permission. But strength is not about knowing the plan in advance. It's about trusting your ability to respond, trusting that when pressure builds you won't break, you'll rise. You've already survived moments you thought you couldn't. You've already navigated pain you didn't believe you could hold. That wasn't luck. That was resilience. That was proof. So now, instead of fearing what's ahead, remind yourself, whatever it is, I can handle it. This belief doesn't make problems disappear. It makes you powerful in their presence. It makes you stable in moments that would have shattered the version of you from yesterday. It turns fear into focus, because fear whispers that you're not enough. But belief, rooted repeated belief, says otherwise. And when you build this belief from within, when you choose to ground yourself in it every morning, you create a shield that doesn't ignore reality. It responds to it with clarity and control. You don't need to know how everything will work out. You only need to know that you have the mindset to face it. That is the edge. That is the difference between being buried by pressure or becoming stronger because of it. Most people look for easy, but ease is not what changes lives. Ownership does. Ownership of your reactions. Ownership of your inner world. Ownership of the words you feed your mind before the world even speaks to you. And if doubt creeps in, as it always will, you don't fight it with force. You replace it with a deeper truth. You remind yourself that nothing outside you is bigger than the fire within you. That no setback is greater than your comeback. That you are not here to live in fear of what could go wrong. You are here to grow because you keep choosing to rise through it all. So before the day begins, before the distractions pull your focus and the world tries to define your limits, say it clearly. I am capable. I am calm. I am ready. And then move like it. Decide that you will not be shaken by what you cannot control. You will meet the day as a builder of strength, not a collector of fear. Because you are more prepared than you realize, and your mind will follow wherever you lead it. If you want to transform your life, start by transforming the conversation you have with yourself. Each morning is a new beginning, a reset, a choice to either repeat the thoughts that keep you stuck or rise with the ones that set you free. One of the most powerful things you can say to yourself is this: I am not my past. I am not my mistakes. I am becoming someone new. That sentence holds freedom. It holds power. It shifts your identity from someone chained to their history to someone creating their future. It gives you permission to release the weight you were never meant to carry. You're not meant to wake up every day reliving regrets. You're not meant to punish yourself with memories of what went wrong or what could have been. That kind of mental prison is built from thoughts, and it can be broken by thoughts too. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to evolve. And no one has the right to define your potential based on your past. Not even you. Especially not you. The moment you begin to believe you are only what you've been through, you stop becoming who you're meant to be. The truth is, your past is a lesson, not a sentence. It's a mirror that reflects how far you've come, not a cage that traps who you are. Yes, you've made mistakes. Everyone has. But mistakes are not the end. They are openings, opportunities to learn, to grow, to become wiser, stronger, more compassionate. If you allow yourself to move forward, you reclaim your power. If you keep repeating to yourself every morning, I am not my past, you begin to release guilt. You stop dragging old stories into new chapters. You make room for healing. You make room for possibility. You cannot carry the weight of yesterday and run toward your future at the same time. One has to give. And when you choose to release the old, you gain access to the now, the only moment where change is possible. You stop reacting from old pain and start responding with new awareness. That's the birthplace of transformation. That's where new habits form, new identities take shape, and new futures unfold. Don't wait for others to see you differently. See yourself differently. Speak it, believe it, own it. You are not broken. You are becoming. You are not behind. You are building, and every single morning when you tell yourself I am not my past, you are planting seeds of a different future. A future not built from shame, but from strength. Not built from who you were, but from who you are choosing to become. So take a breath. Feel it in your chest. Let it sink in. You are allowed to begin again. You are allowed to rewrite the story. This is your reminder. You are the author, not the aftermath. Speak it every day until it's no longer a belief. It's your reality.